Welcome to today's deep dive. I am your host, and I'm thrilled to have our resident operations expert sitting across from me today to unpack some really fascinating source material we've been reviewing.
Thanks for having me. I'm really ready to get into this one because it hits very close to home for a lot of organizations.
It really does. There is this very specific, distinct moment of panic that exists in almost every B2B company.
Oh, absolutely.
And it usually happens about maybe 48 hours after the sales team rings the gong or pops the champagne. You know the scene.
I know the exact scene.
Right. The contract is signed, the revenue is booked,
Yeah.
everyone is high-fiving, but then a very quiet, very terrifying realization sets in for the delivery team.
Like, what exactly did we just sell them?
Exactly. What did we just agree to?
It's the classic handoff hallucination. I mean, sales thinks they sold a standard off-the-shelf package. The client thinks they bought a completely custom bespoke solution.
Right.
And the implementation team is just left staring at a blank screen, waiting for an email that explains which one it actually is.
It is the moment where the dream meets the logistics. We call it the Great Divide. And looking at this stack of research we have for today, this isn't just a minor annoyance or a little breakdown in communication. It's a systemic failure point.
It is.
The sources we're looking at today use a phrase that I absolutely love to describe this. They call it predictable friction.
Predictable friction. Yeah, that term really stood out to me in the source material as well. It implies that we know it's coming.
We aren't surprised by it at all.
Not at all. We know that sales lives entirely inside the CRM. They log every breath the prospect takes.
Tracking every email open.
Every single one. But the very moment that deal closes, the customer is effectively thrown over a brick wall into a completely different universe.
And usually, that universe is a third-party project management tool that the sales team can't even see. Or, arguably worse, a massive spreadsheet that 3 different people are trying to edit at the exact same time.
Oh, the spreadsheets. And the consequences listed in the documentation here are painfully real. You get duplicate data entry right away.
Because someone has to retype it all.
Exactly. Usually a highly paid project manager has to sit there and manually type the contract details into the project software.
Which leads to misaligned timelines.
Because sales promised a delivery date that operations never agreed to in the first place.
And my personal favorite consequence,
Mm-hmm.
the client having to repeat their entire life story, their goals, their pain points to the onboarding manager because those vital notes simply didn't transfer over from the sales team.
It just kills momentum. And look, in the subscription economy, which so many of our listeners are operating in right now, that initial friction is where churn actually begins.
You don't lose them on day one.
No, you might not lose them on day one, but you've already damaged the trust. You've basically proven to the client that your left hand doesn't know what your right hand is doing.
Which brings us to the core topic and the mission of today's deep dive. We are looking at a stack of release notes and documentation regarding a major update from HubSpot that is aiming to fix this exact dynamic.
It's a big one.
It is. And I want to be clear right off the bat for you listening. We aren't talking about a new button or a new color scheme or some UI refresh. We are talking about a fundamental architectural change here. We're talking about the HubSpot project's object.
This is a massive shift in strategy. The mission here, based on the analysis we've read, is to finally close that gap between sales, service, and operations.
Bringing them all together.
Right. The goal isn't just to have a glorified to-do list inside HubSpot. It's to bring true project management directly into the CRM infrastructure.
And before we get into the features, and I know we want to geek out on the Gantt charts in a minute, I want to stick on that word infrastructure. The source emphasizes repeatedly that this is a native object.
Yes, native is the key word.
For the non-technical listener, or even the sales leader listening who just wants the thing to work, why does that distinction matter so much? Native versus integrated. Why isn't an integration enough? We've been integrating tools for 20 years.
It really comes down to data DNA.
Mm-hmm.
When you use an integration, let's say syncing HubSpot to Asana or Monday.com or Trello, you are essentially building a bridge between two separate islands.
And bridges require maintenance.
Constant maintenance. APIs break, custom fields don't map correctly, or maybe the sync only happens every 15 minutes instead of instantly.
And data gets lost on the bridge.
Yeah.
Or the bridge is toll only, and you have to pay for extra seats in both platforms just so people can see what's happening.
Exactly. A native object, however, means projects is now a first-class citizen in the database.
It lives right there.
Right next to contacts, companies, and deals. It shares the exact same brain. So you aren't sending data anywhere. You aren't syncing it. You are simply viewing the same reality through a different lens.
So structurally, this allows you to create a project as an actual CRM record. It's not a sticky note attached to a contact. It's its own entity.
Correct. And because it's a record, it has associations. This is the key technical takeaway for everyone listening. You can associate a project directly with the deal that sold it
The company that bought it.
and the specific context involved. It eliminates the silo because, technically speaking, there is no silo anymore.
That feels like a real maturity moment for the platform. It's moving from just revenue tracking, how much did we sell, to operational execution. How do we actually deliver what we just promised?
That is the perfect distinction for B2B SaaS companies, marketing agencies, consultancies, really anyone selling a promise that requires complex delivery. This unifies the entire life cycle.
But we need to be careful not to just read the brochure here.
Right.
We need to look at the actual functionality. What makes this a real project tool and not just a fancy list of tasks?
Well, let's talk about the visualization.
Yes. The first thing that jumped out at me from the documentation is that we finally have a Gantt chart view inside the CRM.
It's about time.
Now, I admit I have a soft spot for a good Gantt chart. There's something very satisfying about seeing time laid out visually like that. But in a CRM context, is this actually useful, or is it just eye candy for managers?
It's vital. And it's vital for one specific reason: dependencies.
Okay, unpack that.
A standard list of tasks tells you what needs to be done. A Gantt chart tells you when it needs to be done relative to everything else. And the source highlights that this isn't just a static PDF report you glance at. It's an interactive workspace.
Meaning you can manipulate the data right there on the chart. You don't have to click into a settings menu to change a date.
Right. You can literally drag and drop the timeline. Let's say your team is doing a complex software implementation. You have a task called data migration and a subsequent task called user training.
Standard stuff.
If the data migration hits a snag and is delayed by 3 days, you can grab that bar on the Gantt chart, drag it over, and visually see how it pushes the user training out.
That's the problem-solving aspect in real time. Instead of just seeing a generic overdue notification in your inbox, you see the cascade effect. You see, oh, if this slips, we miss our go-live date. And that ultimately pushes the client's renewal date back.
Precisely. It exposes bottlenecks instantly. For teams doing multi-phase onboarding where sequencing is everything, this is a total game changer. You can't train users on an empty system.
No, you definitely can't.
The Gantt view makes that dependency completely visible to everyone, including the sales rep, who might just be checking in to see why the client has been quiet for a week.
Now, to be fair, not everyone thinks in Gantt charts. I know plenty of creative teams who break out in hives at the mere sight of one. Yeah. Did the source mention options for the non-linear thinkers among us?
Yes, flexibility is absolutely built in. You have the board view, which is essentially your standard Kanban board.
Okay, great.
That's perfect for agile-style workflows, just moving a card from to-do to in progress to review.
Very visual, very simple.
And for the operations directors or project managers who just want the raw data to export or audit, there's the table view. It's structured oversight, just rows and columns, great for reporting.
So you basically pick the view that matches your brain or your department's culture. Now, I want to challenge this a little bit.
Go for it.
We've had tasks in CRMs for 20 years. I can log into almost any system right now and set a task to call Bob on Tuesday.
Right.
Why do we need a whole new object for this? How is a project task really fundamentally different from a sales task?
This is probably the most crucial distinction in the entire update, and it's super easy to miss if you're just skimming the release notes. Traditional CRM tasks are binary.
Meaning they are either done or not done.
Exactly. They have a due date, and that's it. They are reminders.
Call Bob, email Sarah, update the slide deck.
Right. They are personal productivity tools. The projects object, however, introduces true task management. And the game changer here, as incredibly simple as it sounds, is start dates.
Start dates. It does sound simple. I feel like we should have had those a decade ago. Why is that such a massive game changer for operations?
Because a due date only tells you when you need to finish. It implies absolutely nothing about the effort or the capacity required.
Okay, I'm following.
If I have a major task due on Friday, did I start it on Monday? Or did I start it Friday morning in a panic? By having a start date and a due date, you are finally tracking duration.
Ah, I see. You're tracking capacity. You're blocking out actual time.
You're tracking reality. Instead of a task just saying finish report, the task is work on report from Monday to Wednesday. This allows for structured task hierarchies. You can have parent tasks, child tasks, cascading timelines. It elevates the tool from just reminding me to do something to actually managing the operational execution of an entire team.
It really connects the dots between being busy and being productive. Speaking of connecting dots, I want to get practical for a minute.
Let's do it.
The theory is great, but I want to understand how this changes a random Tuesday morning for a team. The source material outlined a couple of high-impact use cases. Let's walk through the automated client onboarding scenario, because I think that's where most people really feel the pain.
This is the use case that will resonate the most with our sauce and agency listeners, for sure. Let's set the scene. You have a deal. It's difficult, it's complex. Maybe it involves migrating a client away from a major competitor.
High stakes.
Very high stakes. It's taken 6 months to close. The client finally signs on the dotted line.
The deal stage moves to close one. The sales rep rings the bell.
In the old world, the rep sends a frantic Slack message to the onboarding team, or maybe fills out a disjointed form. Maybe they forget to attach the final contract.
Or they forget to mention the client's incredibly specific timeline constraint.
Exactly. And the onboarding manager is left chasing details for 3 days just to figure out where to start.
And the client is sitting in silence, wondering if they made a huge mistake.
Right. Now, with the project's objects specifically leveraging the professional or enterprise automation features mentioned in the documentation, that entire flow is rewritten. When the deal moves to closed one, a workflow triggers. It automatically creates a specific project record.
So there's absolutely no manual entry. The
Yeah.
project just exists instantly.
It exists, and importantly, it's not empty. The workflow automatically populates it with a template. A predefined set of onboarding tasks that your leadership has already agreed is the gold standard for that type of client.
Step 1, kickoff call. Step 2, technical setup. Step 3, training.
Exactly. And these tasks are assigned to the right specialists automatically, maybe based on territory or current capacity.
That's incredibly powerful for consistency. You don't have one project manager doing it their special way and another doing it a completely different way. Every single customer gets the same rigorous experience.
Standardization is the absolute secret weapon of scaling. You cannot scale chaos. By templating the project creation, the timeline is plotted instantly in the Gantt view. The sales rep can see it immediately, the service team can see it. The handoff isn't a handoff anymore.
It's a seamless continuation of the data.
Exactly.
There was another use case mentioned in the deep dive, sources structured cross-functional service delivery. That's a bit of a mouthful, but it sounded really important for companies that aren't just selling out-of-the-box software.
Think about businesses that have strict stage gates.
Like what?
Maybe you're an architecture firm or a compliance consultancy or a marketing agency doing a massive enterprise rebrand. You literally cannot move to phase 2 until phase 1 is officially signed off and audited.
So you need rigid control. You can't start pouring the concrete until the blueprints are fully approved by the client.
Yes. With projects, you can build custom pipelines specific to your delivery phases. Just like you have a sales pipeline with prospecting, qualification, and closing, you build a delivery pipeline. Design, review, approval, implementation.
And I assume this allows for much better reporting.
Significantly better reporting. You can track target due date versus completion status. You can start asking real analytical questions.
Like, why are we consistently 3 days late on the design phase?
Exactly. Is it a specific team member who is overwhelmed? Is the client constantly delaying us with feedback? It turns the CRM into a true operational analytics engine.
And because it's native, I'm assuming the context is all there. If I'm working on a design phase task, can I see the emails the sales team sent 6 months ago where the client specifically asked for blue, not red?
That is the ultimate payoff. Because the project is directly associated with the company and contact records, you have deep native connectivity. Notes, files, mentions, call recordings. It's all in one unified timeline.
You aren't constantly switching tabs.
You aren't searching through Slack for a lost email. You aren't logging out of the project tool just to log back into the CRM.
Context switching is a massive productivity killer. I've read studies saying it takes nearly 20 minutes to get back into a state of flow every time you switch apps. If you eliminate that 5 times a day, that's hours of time saved per employee.
It adds up fast. But beyond the individual productivity, I want to zoom out to the strategic business impact for a second. Why should the C-suite care about this? If I'm a CFO, why am I happy about this update? I'm usually the one saying no to new tools.
Well, the most obvious one mentioned in the source material is consolidation.
Reduced software stack complexity. Companies are so tired of paying for 10 different SaaS subscriptions that simply don't talk to each other.
Right. If you are paying for a premium CRM and also paying for a completely separate project management tool for 50 people and then paying for a third-party integration tool just to connect them.
That's wildly inefficient. Bringing project management natively into the CRM reduces that sprawl immediately.
It definitely makes the bottom line look better. But there's also a point made in the sources about post-sales visibility.
This is huge for revenue operations. Usually, once a deal closes, sales completely loses visibility. They are blind. They don't know if the client is happy or if the onboarding project is on fire until the renewal conversation starts.
And by then, it's usually too late to save it.
Way too late.
So this gives sales a window into the future. They can see the train wreck coming before it actually happens.
Exactly. A sales director can look at a dashboard and say, look, we have 10 major accounts up for renewal next quarter. Let's check their project health. If they see that 3 of them are currently stalled in implementation, they can intervene proactively.
They can jump in and save the account before the client even files a complaint.
It stops the sales rep disappearing act. It finally aligns the incentives across the board.
And finally, the sources highlight data integrity. We touched on this earlier, but when you remove manual data reentry, your data is naturally cleaner.
You can actually trust your reporting. You can confidently answer a question like, how long does it take us to onboard a client on average?
Which most companies cannot answer accurately today.
No, because the data is buried in a separate tool or just stuck in a project manager's head.
So it transforms the CRM from just a sales tool into a comprehensive business operating system.
That is exactly the ambition here.
Okay, for the listener who is nodding along right now, thinking, I need to stop using spreadsheets for my onboarding immediately, how do they actually get their hands on this? Is this a separate add-on purchase, a closed beta feature? Do they need to call their account rep?
The really good news is, for many of our listeners, it's already there. If you are on an eligible starter, professional, or enterprise subscription, it is very likely just waiting to be turned on.
Talk us through the activation. It sounded deceptively simple in the release notes.
It is surprisingly straightforward. You don't need to install a complex package or anything. You literally just navigate to your data management settings, then go down to data model.
Okay.
Inside there, right alongside your deals and tickets objects, you will locate projects.
And you just click activate.
You literally click activate.
Yeah.
Once you confirm the object is live in your portal, you can immediately start configuring your pipelines, customizing your properties, and importing your historical data.
Data management, data model, projects, activate. That's almost too easy for something that changes the back-end architecture so much.
Well, the button click is easy. The real work, of course, is in defining your internal process first.
Right.
You need to know what your workflow actually is before you try to build it. Don't just turn the tool on and hope for magic. But the technical barrier to entry is completely gone.
It feels like this release is acknowledging a much larger shift in how we view the customer lifecycle.
I think that is the core takeaway from all this research. For a very long time, businesses treated sales and delivery as 2 entirely different companies that just happen to share a logo on their paychecks.
Sales promised the absolute dream, and delivery had to build the reality, often with zero context.
And the customer was always the one paying the price for that disconnect. They felt the jolt every time they hit the Great Divide.
Right.
This update, the HubSpot project's object, represents true operational unification. It connects the deals, the onboarding, the delivery, and the reporting into one single ecosystem. It practically forces the organization to align.
It's so interesting. We talk so much about marketing alignment or sales enablement, but operational alignment feels like the true next frontier for efficient businesses.
In a tight economy, efficiency is the only competitive advantage that really lasts. You can't afford churn just because your onboarding was messy. You can't afford to burn hours manually copying and pasting data. This tool just tightens up the entire ship.
So as we wrap up this deep dive today, I'm thinking about you, the listener, who is staring at your current setup. Maybe it's a messy spreadsheet, maybe it's an incredibly expensive standalone app, and you're wondering if you should make the switch.
It is absolutely worth the evaluation. If you are already living in HubSpot for your sales and marketing, the logic for bringing operations under the exact same roof is overwhelming. The hidden friction cost of not doing it is likely much higher than you realize.
Before we sign off, what is the one big thought, the provocation from the sources that you want our listeners to walk away with today?
I would leave you with this. If we stop thinking of the CRM as just a tool for sales to close deals.
And start treating it as the central nervous system for the entire customer lifecycle.
Exactly. From the very first signature all the way to successful delivery and renewal. If we make that shift, how did that change the way we value our data?
The central nervous system. I really like that metaphor. It implies that if the hand touches a hot stove, the brain knows about it instantly.
Spot on. And right now, for most companies, the hand is touching the stove and the brain has absolutely no idea until it smells smoke. The source material strongly suggests this alignment is the key to scaling in the next few years. It's about valuing the data of delivery just as much as we value the data of revenue.
That is a very powerful place to leave it. The tool is there, the capability is native. Now it's just about making the mindset shift to actually use it.
Indeed, it is.
Well, thank you for guiding us through this deep dive. And to our listeners, I'd encourage you, yes, do open a new tab right now. Go check your data model settings. See if that project's object is waiting for you. It might just be the solution to that predictable friction you've been feeling all year. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.